CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hi, welcome back to Total Fit. I'm here joined with my cohort, Mark, and we have a special guest that we're going to bring in to you right now. We have Kira, and before the break, we talked a little bit about some of the better bad. We're talking a little bit about the diet, talking about making healthy choices along the way, and we have now the holiday season's coming along. Thanksgiving is next week, and we brought Kira along that is one of our trainers at Doc's Gym, runs a couple of our boot camps, our booty boot camps, and does a lot of nutritional consulting for us at the gym. And we just like to thank you for coming.
Of course.
And taking some time with us. And I know Mark was chomping at the bit before you got here on some great questions before the holidays come.
Yeah,
and a couple good questions for her as we start.
I do, and I think a lot of people will. We're going to see a photo of Kira and just see what kind of incredible shape she's in. There she is there. And I think I want to kind of talk to the general audience out there and ask you some basic questions like how do you get to this place? What does it look like? What's your daily food intake?
Or background first, like how'd she got?
Yeah, I'm jumping right in.
How'd she get there first?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of girls that look similar to I do and train the same way I do. I have been in it a lot longer. I started training in the gym at 11 with my dad, just because both my parents worked full time and he went to the gym every day before work, and my day camp didn't open till later, so I started lifting early.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
And then I've done competitive dance from 7 to 20, and then I also taught dance for 6 years. I did basically what would be conditioning for dancers while I worked there. I did powerlifting in high school. I'm from Florida, and we have competitive powerlifting teams in high school for the guys and girls, separate teams. And then after I retired from dance, I was looking for some other way to get back on stage, and I loved fitness, so bikini competitions had kind of just come out because there had always been like bodybuilding and figure.
Right.
And then bikini was just starting, and one of my girlfriends that I had grown up with, she was one of the first ones into it, so that kind of was the perfect match for me because I love being on stage and getting dolled up and that sort of thing from doing it my whole life, and then I've always loved fitness, so it was the perfect combo.
Yeah.
And then I started training people. I've always had a love for nutrition. Like I go back through some of my files and I'll see diets that I wrote up for like my dancing girls when I was like 14 years old. I'm like, I knew a lot when I was 14.
It's still relevant.
Yes,
later.
exactly.
Yeah,
but I've always loved everything, like how you can completely change your body and make your body do things that you didn't know it can do just through your food intake.
Right.
But yes, for the pictures that you guys saw, that was from an NPC, which is the National Physique Committee bikini contest, which I took first place.
How long was that?
That one
Couple
that's
years?
on the screen was 2013.
13.
That was the Eastern Seaboard in Georgia. And I've competed 5 times. I've always taken the overall at any state show.
Whatever.
And 8th at nationals. But I haven't competed in a little while just because my life's been moving around because I just moved here from Florida and all
As
that
we know,
good
you
stuff.
just got married.
Yes, and I just got married.
Congratulations. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a trainer at Doc's Gym. I do booty boot camps. I do nutrition services. I've been training people for over 4 years. I've helped out anyone who wants the information with nutrition since, like, for what I can. I will give them any and all information. I think everybody should try to improve their life through their nutrition because it's not as hard as you would think it is. You just need the right tips.
Right.
One question I was thinking about. So last week, when we had our first show, we brought in John O'Donnell, and here's a guy he works with too.
Yes.
And he's a guy that can relate to a lot of people that are very big and can help them mentally and
Yes.
physically,
Yes.
get into shape. What are some of the things that you would or how you have in the past, talked to some of your clients along the way that may be a little bit bigger, but they see somebody like yourself? I mean, you're very blessed. You've been in the industry since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, and all that. But how do you get across to some of the people that, especially the ladies that are a little bigger, to get them to, we talk about, from the head to the toe to what goes in our mouth to how we exercise
Yes.
as far as the concept of our show. How do you talk to these ladies that are a little bit out of shape?
I've had plenty of women. They know it too. They know that they have trouble. It's not that they don't necessarily know what to eat. It's actually getting them to follow suit. Like they know what they're supposed to do, and most of that, it's a mental aspect for it, especially with women. Most women have a huge issue with their relationship with food because they literally have a relationship with food. There's a lot of women who...
Think so more so than the guys that you work with?
Way more so than the
Yeah.
guys. Because most guys who are overweight or who don't eat properly, they just don't know how. So once you tell them how, they're usually pretty good about taking care
It's
of
like
it.
a guy, just take orders.
Exactly. No, but
Girls are
they
more
are.
sophisticated.
It's just
Yeah.
our brains work differently, and girls can do really well for a while, but then a lot of time they'll go overboard with it, or they have just a misguided relationship with their food. And a lot of heavier women, they have something else in their life that's usually an issue that's causing them to be that heavy because they don't have a proper relationship with food because it's something that's in control for them. They can control what they eat, they can control when they're eating, all that sort of thing. So it's usually something, I've had plenty of women that I talk to where I kind of try and dig a little deeper than they might initially think that I would because I'm their trainer or their nutritionist. I'm not their therapist.
Right.
But usually there's something else that they need to get
There's a
out
relation
that they need
with
to
the two.
address
Right.
that's related to their eating.
You know, that's one of the things why initially when I put this type of business together as far as Doc's Gym, and you really kind of hit on a point that made a lot of sense to me because sometimes we have men and women come into the gym, and sometimes predominantly in a lot of gyms, most of the trainers or people like that are men.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really important to me when Kira came into into our business because she did mention that when you have a woman that can relate to another woman. It definitely bodes well,
Right.
To help them progress or get out of some of the things because you can talk a little more intimately with some of the things that
It
are
would be
going on.
crying if it was sometimes if
From
it
a
was
guy.
a
It
guy, it might
makes a
seem
lot of
like
sense.
crying. Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean that works both ways too. Like there's plenty of women, especially in the competitive fitness industry, who look incredible, or they're really lean, or they're really thin, who have the same exact problems as bigger women. They just go the opposite direction with it. Instead of overeating, they undereat, or they become way too OCD about their eating and kind of let it rule their entire life.
Right.
So it's not like nobody needs to have any sort of shame whatsoever in what it is. They just need to come in and talk to one of us, and we're an open door. We love to hear from you. We want to help you, no matter what the issue is. Because, I mean, we can help in any sort of aspect. We have so many different types of trainers. We have different nutritionists between, like, me and Johnny. Like, Johnny works great with people who are heavier because he's been there.
Right.
And he's great at relating to them and calling them out, too, if need be. Because a lot of the time, somebody who's heavier, they'll come to me, and I'll tell them what to do, and they'll think, oh, well, she's just a skinny little girl that's never had to work that hard. I don't want to listen. She doesn't understand.
That is reality.
And it is. And
That's
there's,
why we have
and
a
there's
facility
no
like this.
problem with it. It's just the way that some of our minds work. Whereas with Johnny, since he's been there, he can say, no, I know what you're doing. I've been there. Stop it.
Right,
This is what you need to do to move on from it. And that's why I've worked with a couple of girls who from competing have developed like anorexia or bulimia or different areas where they'll just be hurting themselves. Like there's a lot of competitors who will only eat the bare minimum, and then they'll go overboard on cardio and be lifting too often and be training like 3 times a day, overtraining, undereating, and literally killing their metabolism to where in 3 years they won't be able to lose weight to save their life because
just
they've done that to their body. There's so many different aspects of it, and if you have a good environment and a good home gym and people that you can rely on and talk to about all that, it's going to make the biggest difference in your health.
You know, it's really interesting. You brought up the, a couple terms that are, sometimes people think are taboo, especially more with the women than the men, with the bulimia and anorexia. But in our facility, we have the ability through myself as a doctor to talk to some people about that, but yourself as a nutritionist. Because also, too, we want to let the audience know, it isn't necessarily saying, Kira's in here to do nutritional consulting or just physique training. I mean, she does a lot of things where she can sit down with these people. They may not necessarily, want to get on stage like some of the clients that she works with.
Right.
They just want to, feel better about themselves mentally and physically.
Right.
And also, too, is you talked a little bit about the women that you train, but you also work with a lot of guys, too.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So just maybe touch on the little quirks that the guys may have that the women don't. You know what I mean?
As
Because
far as
a
their
woman,
nutrition?
as a woman, trying to teach a guy like myself, who she's worked with before, and, would you think it's a listening thing sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes it's a listening thing, and a lot of people, guys and girls, kind of want the the quick fix info, and guys especially, you can lay it all out for them, but a lot of the time they want it as simple as possible. So the options like, it's Pollo Loco here, right? It's
Yes.
Pollo Tropical in Florida. That's what I'm asking.
One of
Like
those
Pollo
places.
Loco, Chipotle, stuff like that. They'll think, okay, well, I'm eating healthy because I'm eating Chipotle, when they're eating the biggest bowl covered in everything. And
Guacamole and
yes,
sour cream
yes,
and all
they're
that.
they're tripling up on their fats
Cheese.
with the guac, the sour cream, and the cheese. All fats, you only need one.
Yeah, you only need one.
And then having both types of beans, or every type
Right.
of bean there is, like this
Yes,
guy.
like I would do, yeah.
And the
Beans
rice
healthy.
and everything else, and then that's carbs on carbs. Whereas you could just pick one of each and then get like double meat, split it in half. There's 2 awesome meals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Something like that, which is more appropriate. But a lot of guys too, they'll think, okay, more protein, more carbs. I'm trying to grow more fats, and they'll double it up on top of each other instead of maybe taking the time to see what their body likes.
Do you think if in comparing men and women, do you think that the men, and I'm going to just, I'm going to ask, because I'm a guy, I'm going to tell you the way I'm going to ask
for
you
it, yes.
first. Do you think men are more simple as far as they can keep track on a simple diet? They can have the same thing every day. Where do you think women need more variety? Is it vice versa, or across the board?
I think it's fairly even.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the person.
on the person.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially people who haven't grown up, like I grew up in a household where my mom made dinner 6 nights
Yeah.
a week. So I'm used to food. I like to cook, that sort of thing. There's a lot of people nowadays who don't know how to cook, don't really care to cook. And so that plays a big role because they'll try and go out for everything.
Right.
And you can eat healthy for the most part going out, but those are also the people who skip breakfast because they
Right.
don't want to make breakfast. And
that's
then
interesting.
they'll have a huge lunch, and then they'll end up falling off the wagon for dinner because they haven't eaten enough during the day and their body just wants food, so they crave bad things.
Right.
That's a great point because especially in society, since it's so fast paced, and I've been in this business a long time, and I'm still just as guilty as anybody else. That sometimes you'll go, oh man, I got to get up and I got to get out. But what's the easiest thing for a lot of people to do is they'll pick a bagel, they'll do, and even oatmeal's probably the better of the bad.
Sure.
We talked about earlier.
Yes.
Or they'll do a waffle, or they'll do a bowl of cereal and think that is breakfast.
Well, I think going off of your point too, it's not just the oatmeal. Now you have the carb, and then you have the brown sugar,
Right.
and the butter,
People
and then
think
the
that they're
raisins.
being
So you have all
healthy.
these carbs going
That's
on top.
another, like,
and-
there's so many misconceptions with what people do and don't think is healthy that isn't actually healthy.
Right.
Like, there's plenty of people who think they're doing really well by going to Starbucks or to McDonald's and getting their oatmeal when they'll have all of the fruit and the brown sugar and all the little dried goodies
goes
in
along
it,
with it,
which
sure.
makes it not quite as good for you.
Right.
And then they'll also get like their Starbucks drink on top of it. And most of those
Right.
Starbucks drinks,
It's not
unless
black coffee, is
no,
it?
unless it's coffee or tea,
No.
they're pretty much like calorically, and as far as their fat and carbs concerned, that's a whole meal for
It
me.
can literally be
Yes.
up to 800 calories.
Oh,
It'll say
yes.
it on the menu.
I'll
too,
look at them
so-
sometime. I'm like, oh, that sounds so good, and then I'll look at the nutrition facts. And I'm like, nah, I don't
not
need
worth
it.
it.
Which,
Exactly.
speaking of nutrition facts, for anybody who wants to kind of try and educate themselves a little bit easier, the MyFitnessPal app on iPhones, I'm sure they have it for Android too. It's a little blue square with a white dancer in it. Really, really easy to use. You can even scan your foods with it, and it will give you the nutrient breakdown on everything, so you can kind of see what you're putting in your body before you do. So
And it can open your eyes too.
Oh, yeah,
if you
absolutely.
start tracking it yourself and you realize, wow, this is whoa.
This is everything I'm taking
Because I
in.
think, and I know
When you
there's a
don't see
percentage,
it,
but there's
yeah.
most of us kind of underestimate how much we eat.
Oh, yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think that's eye opening. It certainly helped some of my clients too, just using that simple app.
especially uneducated people when it comes to nutrition, and people who don't know what macro and micronutrients
Sure,
are and that sort of thing. They can look at each thing that they're putting in, each meal, and see what all's going into it, even if they're just seeing the protein and the carbs and
Right,
stuff. That's
right.
going to help them, because at the end of the day, when they're looking and they've got 600 grams of carbs and like 70 grams of protein, obviously there's something wrong there. So then they can start taking steps in the
And
right
underlying
direction.
all this it's an education, right?
Yes,
That's the only
yes.
way you're really going to be successful
Yes.
long term, is to really understand what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Unless you're a guy and you just give them a map.
Just don't follow the map and go
Yeah,
from
what's on the
there.
paper?
But a lot of guys aren't good with that either.
Right,
They want to have their options. I mean, when I write nutrition plans, I write them completely different ways for each person. Some people do better with like, this is your meal, this is your meal, this is your meal. Some people do better with like food banks, where I'll give them like, there's group A, group B,
Oh, yeah.
group C, and group D.
Choose something.
Exactly.
Right.
So like meal one, I'll say pick one from group A, group C, and group D. And then that way they can mix and match, and they kind of learn that way too, like what to pair together. Like they'll figure out, because one group's just going to be carbs, one group's going to be like fibrous carbs, like vegetables,
Okay,
one's going to be
right.
protein, one's going to be
Right.
fat. So then they learn things like, and they learn which ones are in which category too, because like a lot of people think that nuts are protein. To me, nuts are a fat,
Right.
because
Yeah.
there's more fat than anything else
Yep.
in nuts, so
Right.
that's a fat. But a lot of people, like, they'll see commercials that say, oh,
High
well, it
protein.
has,
High in
yes, high
protein.
protein.
Right.
Just things like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of common misconceptions
Right.
along with eating. Like, people think granola is like a super healthy
Right.
thing for
Yeah,
you, which
exactly.
it's literally just all carbs.
You know what we should do is we'll take a little bit of break. I want to bring her back because we were talking about Starbucks,
Right.
and obviously we have the holiday season coming along. And the first thing I thought about was the pumpkin latte that they have, and
Yes,
why
yes.
it,
One, I'm
why
sure.
it yes, and why it may have more calories than you think. And maybe just get before we cut her loose for today. Maybe get some of the ideas on Thanksgiving is coming, and just some of the ideas that you would advise some of the folks if they are trying to maintain, they are trying to lose, or they're prepping, like we have some people in the gym that
Yes.
are prepping for contests, on what would be some of the healthy things that they can do for the holiday season.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll be back in a couple minutes to hear what Kira has to say about some healthy foods and diets and how to eat through the holiday season, and we'll be back in just a moment.
This segment brought to you by Tioga Sequoia Brewery. Central Valley Talk is fueled by Tioga Sequoia Brewery in downtown Fresno.
Sunshine Natural Health in Tulare, California is your source for nature's best remedies. Call Sunshine Natural Health at 559-688-2063 and get healthy. There's a better way to optimize productivity and quality of life at work. Call High Point Consulting today and harness the power of your vision. Create your better way at highpointconsulting.net.
Foundations School of Discipleship educates young people in the knowledge of God and in understanding His ways. We instruct students in a balance of personal discipleship, academics, and hands-on ministry training. Foundations School of Discipleship. Need raisins? Call National Raisin Company at 559-834-5981 or online at nationalraisin.com. Maintain your independence with the caring support of an entire community at Cedar Creek Senior Living. For more information, call 559-673-2345.
Come help heal mind, spirit, and body. Treat yourself to the healing experience of Reiki. Classes available. My job depends on ag. Does yours? Join the Facebook group with over 35,000 members whose jobs depend on ag every day. My job depends on ag.
Century 21 agent Julie Gherkin comes from a family with over 50 years experience in real estate. If you're looking for a home or a property in Oakhurst, Bass Lake, or Mariposa County, call Julie Gherkin with Century 21, 559-641-2827.
Contact Maria or Daniel at Rustic Pallets for your customized tile and woodwork. Visit www.rusticpallets.com.